Hey, Beyrick, how are you, man?
Ali, how's it going, man?
Yeah, good, thanks, dude. Whereabouts are you? You're in California, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, no, I'm in San Diego area, just for a little bit, and
Nice.
yeah, heading to Trestles this afternoon for a couple of days. So excited
Oh,
about that,
cool,
bro. Yeah.
cool. And then are you sort of like going with a coach over there, or just going to be free
Well,
surfing with friends and
yeah, definitely doing some of my own training, but I am assistant coaching the junior Netherlands team in El Salvador, and I leave on the 22nd. So there's a girl that's named Ava, and she
Mhm.
lives in San Clemente. So I'll just go down there, spend some time with her, and just see how she's doing. I did one session with her, and she was doing really well. But there's a few things that I think we could help gear her up to get the title there, bro.
Nice. Well, man, I'd love to kind of jump into the whole sort of Netherlands junior surf team coaching and like how that whole journey began. But if it's all right with you, before I mean, like you grew up over in Durban, right? And that's kind of how you got into surfing and
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I grew up in Durban. My family moved down to the coast. We only were about an hour away, and I was
okay.
just like an avid skateboarder at that time. And then when I moved down to the coast with my family, yeah, basically my dad just said to me that I was spending too much time at the skate park. And I think he kind of always wanted to be a surfer or something, bro, because I don't know, man. But he said to me, he's only going to pay for me to go to the skate park if if I go one day to the beach and try surfing, and then one day to the skate park every weekend. So I did that one for 3 weeks or 3 weekends, and then on the fourth weekend, I just kind of stayed at the beach, and here we are.
And did you pack in skating then, or did you kind of still skate as well a little bit?
I still skated. Like I've always loved skateboarding, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, I couldn't. I had to kind of stop when I kept getting injured. You know, all these little niggles that happen from skateboarding, like whether it's 5 days or a week, and then the worst ones like 6 weeks or something. Yeah, that was just too much. So I had to kind of choose if I wanted to keep trying to get better at skateboarding, or if I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of keep surfing. And my surf coaches were like, "Dude, what are you up to?" So I was missing contests and stuff. So I kind of just went with the surfing side.
And was your dad like? Was he was running a hotel, wasn't he? Was that then, or was that before?
No, so yeah, he. I don't know the exact years, but he owned the hotel before I was born.
Okay.
But then he's actually he represents athletes, so he represented runners mostly, and then he brought them over from like Russia and stuff to run a race called the Comrades Marathon.
Hmm.
And yeah, so he's in sports marketing, so he was
Okay.
kind of that was his thing.
Yeah, and there's a bit of a story I heard, like with your middle name, and yeah, I don't know if you could kind of if you could tell us about that. And
Yeah, well, it's I don't know how wide to go, how summarize, but my friends always tell me to summarize, so I'm gonna try my best here. Uh, but yeah, my middle name is Tulani, and that's a Zulu name. And basically, when my dad owned this hotel, it wasn't by choice. It was actually my mom's father's hotel,
oh, okay,
and my dad wanted to marry my mom, and the hotel was in debt. So the way that my dad could prove himself to my grandpa was, listen, if you can take this over in debt and turn it around, then you've really earned it. So my dad was in debt for this hotel, and South Africa was in a very bad way at that time. Well, still in the black, white, and there were still separate hotels, separate buses,
mhm,
separate beaches, and all that stuff. So yeah, basically, my dad one day this guy was injured, and his name was William Tolo, and he was a runner, and he lived very rurally. He lived, in the hut type of situations, and yeah, he got injured, and he got injured right outside the hotel. So my dad said, well, he came in and asked to speak to my dad, and said, listen, I need to speak to the owner. I'm injured. And he walked into the bar, and apparently, there's the white guys. They were like, what's going on here? All up in arms. And my dad really didn't like that. So my dad just said, you can stay at the hotel for free. And so now imagine this
nice.
this this Zulu dude staying in a whites only hotel, and it's not like a whites only chosen by my dad. That was the law. It's like you go to
Yeah,
jail if you let someone of color stay in the hotel. So my dad did this, and then basically Willie asked him, really, like, I don't know, convinced him to be a manager, his manager as an athlete. And my dad didn't know the first thing about it, but all Willie knew was that this white dude was like ready to let him stay in the hotel for free. So maybe he was ready to help him with his career. He said, listen, I can run far and I can run fast.
Yeah.
And turns out my dad managed him, and they went to the New York City Marathon, and he won the New York City Marathon. First black guy to win the New York City Marathon in history.
Wow, that's amazing.
Next thing they're doing a lap around the White House with Bill Clinton. Things escalated pretty quickly, bro. And on the airplane back in South Africa, it's a weird thing, man. Like the African people sometimes have to have English names, so the names are easier to pronounce, which is a bit suspect, I think.
Yeah.
And Willie asked my father and said, listen, if the African guys have to have an English name, how come the English guys don't have to have a Zulu name? And my dad was like, he's never lost for words. And my dad was like, shit. Okay, yeah. So basically, William Tolo, the athlete, his daughter was Tulile, which is the female version of Tulani, and my mom was about to give birth to me. So therefore, I am Tulani.
Which means the quiet one, right? Is that kind of what it sort of translates?
Yeah, they messed that up a little bit, dude. I tend to talk a little bit.
That's so good. And so then when your dad was trying to convince you to then get into surfing, when did all the competitions and contests start? Was that sort of something that you were you were keen to do, and you thought like, you're going to give it a try?
Dude, what happened was then I went to the school called Athelton Primary in Umhlanga, and there was this cool kid, the cool kid surfed at the school. That was their thing, there was like a surf club and everything. And one of my now best friends, Devin Lane, he was sponsored by Quicksilver, and he was the cool kid and everything. And he gave me a lot of shit for being a bodyboarder because I skated and bodyboarded. And he was like, why don't you lie down on your skateboard? That doesn't make sense. So if you're going to surf, come surf. So him and I are like the most competitive two people ever together. And from there, I just started surfing, and I wanted to beat him and he wanted to beat me. And next thing, I think it was like 6 months, and then I was at South African champs, and then I actually got third, which was, I think, a bit of a luck. But from there, I kind of started believing that this could be a thing.
Nice. And then you were like doing you were doing the junior tour, and was that taking you out of South Africa as well? And were you sort of traveling when you were a kid, when you were a grommet? And
my first time out was, I think under 12, I went to Australia. There was always this like awesome thing, but like in December, January, and that's our big school holidays in South Africa.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd go over and I'd do the Ripcord Grom searches and the Volcom contest and everything. So I just started kind of feeling it out overseas. And it's from there. Yeah, I mean, I had to travel a lot from about 12.
Okay. Wow. And then like whereabouts were you going? Were you like Australia? Were you kind of doing Europe and Hawaii and stuff as well? Or
it was mostly Australia in the beginning. That was just my annual kind of thing until for the first 2 years. And then I went out to, where was it? Yeah, then I went to Florida and did a few contests in Florida randomly. Mm-hmm. And then I went to Cali, and somehow, I won this Ripcord Grom search in San Diego, actually. Jeez, you're helping me reminisce here, bro. I'm like
taking you on a journey.
Yeah, thank you for this journey through myself here, man. So then I went to America, and then then it started kind of getting more global. And our first QS was in Canada. There was a contest in Canada on Vancouver.
Whereabouts was that?
Vancouver Island.
Yeah.
So I went with Travis Logie and Brandon Jackson and watched how it all went down. I saw how crazy most of the people were, which I felt very similar to, and saw how it all went down. And Brandon Jackson, he was an older South African guy, and he actually got a third place there. So I was with him the whole time, like coming down to the beach every morning, going back, eating the right foods and everything, and watching how he does it. And then from there, I was like, okay, I want to do this.
And then were you just then set on the QS, and you were like, okay, like after you got out of the juniors, then did you kind of go straight into?
Dude, I did the QS from like 16 years old.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. Tiring, my bro.
How was that? Like, kind of doing it sort of like year after year.
Yeah, it's epic in the beginning because you got that kind of like raw, like big bright lights kind of feel, and it got a bit monotonous in the end, or like not in the end, but like kind of after 8 years, and then I had 1 year break, and I came back, and that's when I almost qualified. So I was like, whoa, hold on, there's something to this, but you never really could have like take a step back from the WSL because you had to keep your points.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to link that into this year, but that's kind of what I'm up to this year is taking a step back.
And like with that result, that was 2019, right? So that was kind of the best result.
2019. Yeah, 2015 and 2019, I believe. Yeah, that was like kind of missed it by about 10 spots.
Oh man. And then how does that then? So what you're focusing on now? Basically, you decided to have a break, didn't you, for like this year? And
well, it's not really like a break. With this, I got within I think about 20 or 30 spots last year of qualifying, but then this year I wasn't going to be able to carry over any points. So I was thinking, this is the first time that you can actually like almost like a catapult, bro. Like just pull it a bit further back, step away, because next year is going to start over from the beginning anyway. And I've started representing the Netherlands, and I really want to qualify for the Olympics and represent the Netherlands for the Olympics. So that's, in all sports, people take a run up over 3 years to get to the Olympics. So I kind of saw an opportunity to work on my weaknesses and strengthen my strengths, and then kind of get that run up for next year, and then start the WSL kind of thing again. And then if I qualify, then I qualify for the Olympics. So that's kind of the plan this year.
And there's from my understanding, there's basically two ways of qualifying, right? So you can either qualify through doing the tour events or through ISA and the games. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, yeah. So if you're on tour, then you're in the Olympics, like if you're in your region. But then the other way is also through ISA qualification. So I think it's a very complicated thing. I actually asked the people from ISA, and they almost had a problem explaining it to me. But I think that it's region. So in Europe, whoever places in the top few spots at ISA from in the European region, then that's who will be able to get into the Olympics.
Okay. And then so your plan is just kind of basically then get ready for that and then sort of jump back into it.
100%.
End of this year, start of next year, right? For the QS.
Yeah. So in South Africa, when we couldn't surf during lockdown, we were banned for 80 days.
That was the same thing in Portugal.
So, and then everyone watching all these Instagrams around the world and following all my friends, and they're getting this biggest off periods, like just work on their strength, work on all their surfing and all their boards and everything, and then all of a sudden just press play, and then next thing they've just leveled up, and we've been sitting inside a house trying to make podcasts, So
everyone's on Zoom chats and stuff, and
bro. So, but then they're asking about the surfing, and I'm like, I don't have much to tell you, my friends. It's kind of been a bit boring. Yeah. So I mean, that's what kind of this year is to work with some coaches like in different areas, work on strength, and also work on boards. I've been riding for Channel Islands for a long time now. But I spoke to them, and they kind of understand that I'm going to be maybe trying out a few other boards, just as all the pros do. That's just look for those areas where maybe it can increase, and if not, then at least and you're comfortable with the choice of boards that you have been on.
And is that sort of like looking at different boards or different shapers with different types of waves and things like that, or
exactly? Yeah. So it's just trying to fill in the gaps. There was 1 or 2 years where I was locked down with a shaper, and which boards were really good for certain waves, and then there'd be a big storm, and then the next day I'm still trying to ride the same board, and that just didn't really work out. So I'm just trying to fill in those gaps.
Yeah. Cool. And when you were doing like, so like when COVID happened and you couldn't go, like what did you get up to then? Like, were you sort of, was it really strict in South Africa during that time? Like, could you get out of your neighborhood, or was it like, you know, you're kind of locked in, you had to stay in your house? And
Well, yeah, I mean, COVID, there was definitely more police than when the riots happened last year, which was a bit of a confusing situation there in South Africa. But yeah, the police would chase you down the beach, but luckily they didn't take their shoes off, so they were in their boots. So it's when you're barefoot, you can kind of get the jump on them, and you can kind of get away. So there were little angles to play, but there was also like a role to try maybe be an example of, you know, if the whole country's locked down, then it's locked down. It's to our responsibility.
And then there was like so there was like a music sort of surf video that you were doing, which is 99 Shades of Crazy, right? That was kind of the idea from then getting out of lockdown and being able to surf again. And
that was it. That was Mikey February. I don't know if you remember, or you must remember the Sonic Souvenirs. Mikey's edit that he made, I think it won Edits of the Year. But so basically he needed someone to kind of just be surfing with him, and we chased the swell from the Transkei down to the south coast, and luckily he had the filmers and he had kind of everything going for him, so he just kind of like hooked me on like a little trailer on the back, and I managed to get some footage from that. But yeah, so busting out of COVID, almost, you know, I don't know if it was only 99 Shades of Crazy, it might have been 1,000 Shades of Crazy, but 99 Shades of Crazy works. And so that was the first swell, and it was just so fun to be, in good waves, getting barreled. I was trying to go hang five. I was trying to surf one-footed. I was, you know, just a bit crazy, bro. So the project came together now, and we wanted to put all those clips together, and we worked with JJ Gray, which I'm very grateful for. JJ Grateful. But yeah, so that song just made sense.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. So we turned it into like a little blend of his music video, my surfing, and the surf music video.
Nice. And with all the vlog and the YouTube stuff, did that start? Were you doing that before, or did that kind of happen?
No, that was a wild swing at just doing something a bit extra, because, you know, this one-dimensional kind of aspect of approach to pro surfing isn't really working anymore, you know. So you either have to have a huge social media following, or you have to have a YouTube channel, or you have to be very good looking, which I had to make a YouTube channel, you know, it didn't work. So bro, so we tried 2 episodes out, and I think there is something there for the future, but the funding needed to make one of those work was a lot more than I anticipated.
Especially if you're traveling to, you know, different spots and getting filmers and all that, right? And
for sure. So that definitely started afterwards, and I think it'll pick up again probably from maybe the second half of this year.
Nice. Cool, man. So now I guess there's sort of 2 things, or is it sort of 2 main things that you're working on, which is the coaching for the Netherlands junior team, and then that whole sort of qualifying process to surf for the Netherlands, right? And it's kind of those 2 things, as well as all the other projects and funding and QS events. But it does get a bit much, but that's kind of what this year is. But being from South Africa, like growing up there, you always kind of like just one bite away from the carrot, but, you know, you just kind of always chasing the carrot, and it just felt like it was, I was just going around in circles a little bit. So this year is figure out all the different aspects, as I said, from the boards, fitness, going to different spots, going to like get the surfing up, but then also getting the right finance. And the way that you can do that is not only just this, I'll give you money, put a sticker on my board anymore. That doesn't really work. So that's why I'm trying to do these things, like work with JJ Gray. We're working on this, hopefully, which we're looking to land, is a limited Netflix series, and traveling with a musician from here. I don't know if I can mention the name yet, but when he signs, then we can obviously mention it. I don't have to be professional, right? But
so then it's basically mixed with, he's got a rich history with kind of the American music and Southern music.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the plan is to go through South Africa into Mozambique and look for him to travel with a local South African musician. And with
Nice.
surfing, music, and then also history, he's got rich history, which you'll find out when we do drop this, what type of history it is. I think it'll be a very cool thing. And the goal is for them to find inspiration to link up Southern American music, African music, and make a song from that.
Nice. That would be cool. And then will it be like filming the whole journey, kind of going through the country to Mozambique and everything, right? And kind of
yes, and then hopefully end in J-Bay, which is the goal for at the J-Bay Open.
Yeah.
Hopefully, then they've come up with a song, because I'm not very musical, so I don't know how I can't really speak on how long it'll take them to make the song. Yeah, the goal is for them to play that song at J-Bay and have that be the final episode.
Yeah, nice, man. Cool. And then kind of like jumping back into the aspects of training. I mean, how have you has that been a recent thing of like shifting mindset, I guess, between, looking at everything from nutrition and like health and wellness, and as well as like the actual sort of surfing and gym and like physical elements of it as well, right?
Yeah, but well, obviously, if you look at the level of what everyone's doing right now,
it's crazy, huh?
It's very, very crazy. So that's it's definitely gotten better this year, but during COVID, my shoulders were shrugged, and I kind of didn't really believe, anymore. And that belief kind of stopped me from kind of training as much. And, I just didn't know where this whole thing was going, especially didn't really have the main sponsor anymore. So this year the training's picked up probably tripled. And
nice.
time in the water has definitely upped. But I want to work with specialists, bro. And that's kind of where the Global Action Sports Foundation comes in. They help athletes go from where they are to the Olympics, and they've helped people, skateboarders like Zion Wright, I don't know if you know, or Heimana Reynolds. They've helped Courtney Conlog, a few of the big names. So right now, I'm very happy that I'm the top athlete for them right now. So anything that comes in, they're helping me land with the best trainers. They help me land with the best nutritionists. And that's where I'm looking to up my game, really.
Yeah.
Because I've just seen, and we watched the contest yesterday. I don't know if you watched the WSL.
I did, yeah.
Man, I was up till 2 watching that contest. But just if you see the strength that John and Jack Robinson have with their backs, just like an example, their backs are so straight with the flexibility. Plus, they all speak about the breath work and everything. It's just the level's gone up here. So that's where this year's coming in hugely. I've seen all the things. I've got my notes with the trainers that I need to work on. And I really think that if I do all of those things, I think this Olympic dream could come true, and I think I could be on tour.
And it's going to be, it's that whole all-roundedness as well, isn't it? And it's not just, you can be you can't just be a one-trick pony or good in big waves or good in small waves. It's kind of you've got to have your air game, and everything's sort of got to be
exactly. So
got to be dialed.
Straight up, bro. So with the South African budget, even when I did have the sponsors, we'd only be able to spend money on the competitions and getting there and getting back. So then still living with your parents, because you can't, everyone else is buying their second and third houses while they're still in the QS from around the world. And we just backhand barrel riding. Man, I'm not where I need to be. I went to Namibia and I got a lot better just from going to that Skeleton Bay. Yeah. But now the Olympics are at Chopu. So part of the plan.
I was going to ask you that. How have you been training for that?
Trestles is a pretty heavy wave. No, I'm joking. No, I'm going to go spend a month in Tahiti. Nice. I've got my very good friend is Jeremy Flores, and we've all seen what he does out at Chopu.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go stay there. Jeremy's agreed to coach me for a couple baguettes, and hopefully not too many euros. But yeah, bro, so I'm going to go there and work on it, because I know that if I put myself in the position, I can do it. but I kind of come from a rhythm side of surfing, not really the athlete side of surfing, or like kind of like getting in the gym to get better at surfing. I really I like to be in the ocean. And that's why in Hawaii, I've always got my best results, because you're always staying in rhythm there. You got the 2 back-to-back events, the swell's big. And so I'd always go from 60th or whatever to like jumping up 30 spots or something. So that's the goal, is to go put myself in the situations and get into the lineups that I need to improve.
Nice one. Yeah, cool, man. And how's it been coaching the juniors? What's that been like?
Well, I've only had 1 or 2 sessions with Ava, and all the kids from the Netherlands are in the Netherlands. So I'm just here.
Yeah.
I'm just the assistant coach. I'd like to have that known, Micah. If you're watching, you're the big boss. But yeah, so I'm just looking forward to it, bro, because I think not only could I help, and one of my big goals is to really grow surfing in the Netherlands. Man, I went there last year, and there was a night surfing contest. The waves were about a foot. And I've never seen so much froth on surfing in a place in my life. So
there's a bit of a scene, isn't there? It's like
there's a scene, bro.
Yeah.
So, everyone's super amped. And with that tenacity, and then hopefully with my experience and these 1,000 years that I've been on the QS, hopefully I can just help skip a few lessons. And I think I can. And with what I saw from Ava, man, she's got an amazing backhand, and I didn't see too many lefts, but I think with a little bit of positioning in the lineups and a little bit of experience that I've had, I think Ava could win ISO World Champs. Maybe.
How good would that be? And is there Dutch companies backing them as well? Are they getting the support? And is there sort of now like funding with surfing being the Olympics? Are they putting money behind it?
I believe so. I know that they are definitely they're getting sponsored, but I think it's a weird one for Ava living here and then not kind of being in the Netherlands. But to be honest, I don't know too much of that part. That's Micah and the HSA's kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I hope so, bro, because I'm looking to grow my own profile in the Netherlands. And yeah, I know O'Neill's really big there, and I think they put a lot back into surfing there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was sort of like looking at the big wave scene over here in Nazaré, and it's sort of like you got a few different nationalities, whether it's German, and there's a few people who are kind of getting some big some decent backing depending on where they are. Like if it's sort of like a bit unusual, but then sort of like looking at that whole the whole surfing culture of everything, and yeah, I don't know. I was just curious to see like with the scene in Holland, like if it is kind of then like how it's taken off and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that surfing in Holland, I think it's going to be one of the fastest growing sports over the next decade. Yeah, I think that's where the funding is going to grow. I think that the interest from the government's going to grow. I know that the government does put back into surfing there.
Yeah,
so that's awesome. Were you asking about the government funding or like company funding when you asked me?
A bit of both, really. Yeah, just curious to see, like, if like with their Olympic committee, what like and their sort of surfing organization, what they're going to do, and then also what I guess like kind of brands that are based over there are going to do. But
I think the government's with myself coming like to with representing the Netherlands now, and that's our goal, is to try show the Olympic Committee that, hey, there's some people that really have a chance now that are representing you guys. So let's put it in, because now it's not, my goal is not just to get, for me, it's to, if they start putting into surfing, then let's grow it from, there's a kid called Duke. I think he's 12 years old, 12 to 14, but I saw him surfing and he rips, man. And if they start putting some money back from this early, that's how things go. It's like, it's not going to happen overnight. And there is a project that I'm working on in the Netherlands that I'm also don't know how much I can speak of, but
it's all these secret projects,
but yeah, I just press a button over here and you see all the guns come out. No, but I mean, to be honest, I'm looking at the wave pool space in the Netherlands, and that's where I think the kids there can really improve.
Nice.
And yeah, things are actually kind of they're kind of getting underway, bro. So it's
That's
pretty,
cool.
pretty
It's good to hear
exciting
that.
Yeah, thanks, bro. It's also surfing's not going to last forever for me. I mean, unless you're Kelly, which I'm not. But yeah, so doing something like big like that in the Netherlands, with skateboarding, surfing, and music, that's my three favorite things.
Yeah.
So we can kind of get something like the Australian, there's that the Aussie sports, like where they have the, damn it, what's the word?
Like Urban Surf, the one in Melbourne, like that kind of thing, or
Kinda, but the Australians, they've got a center where it's there for airing, like what's a foam pit. They've got foam pits,
okay,
they've got trampoline training, they've got such a good like hub where people come to on their off time and they all train together, work on the different things in surfing. So that is kind of where I'm looking at for the Netherlands. And some people are jumping on board, and then I can kind of achieve that dream of also like growing surfing in the Netherlands.
Yeah. That's cool. Almost like a sort of like Camp Woodward style for like skate and BMX, but with a surf kind of angle, right? And yeah,
and also a music venue. Ooh.
Yeah.
So because surfing,
it's all combined though. I mean, like the whole surfing and music thing.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So, I've heard you say that before. It's kind of sort of like interlinked, and I don't know.
Yes.
When you're riding a wave, you're sort of thinking about a tune, or I am anyway. I don't know.
For sure. Well, just surfing is. It's like the wave is the genre, the surfboard's like the musician, and then your surfboard that you choose as your instrument for the day.
Yeah.
So, and that's the best thing about surfing, because it can be whatever you want it to be, and that's the best thing about music. Is people say, what type of music do you like? And I'm like, what? So there's music for every day, every mood. If you're sad, play a happy song. If you're feeling too happy, play. Okay, you don't play a sad song, but you know what I mean, bro. It's like music changes moods, and so does surfing.
Yeah. And that's also like, I don't know. I think there's less like now. It's like you're not like pigeonholed into so many things, right? So it could be like if with surfing, if it's sort of like okay, like unless you're competing, but it's sort of like if you want to kind of ride a cruisy board, that's okay.
Yes.
And you want to take out a long board, you want to go on a short board, it doesn't really matter. It's the same. I don't know. Music is not like okay, you listen to metal, you can only listen to that, or you listen to reggae. So like
straight up, bro.
People a bit more open now than what it was, right?
Yeah, bro. Surfing is just surfing. Like your surfboard's an instrument. You're a musician. You play it with your feet, which is a weird one because I don't know how much instruments you play with your feet. But then the wave's a genre, but every day is different, as you said, bro. Longboarding, you can just do whatever you want. World's your oyster.
That's it, man. Cool, dude. And so what's the best way? Like, if people want to follow the journey and kind of see what you're up to, how can they get in touch?
Okay, so basically, just on Instagrams is the main one. So if you just follow me on Insta, message me on there. My email's in my bio, and then also Funk's management is who's managing me at the moment, and they're doing a really good job. So I've also got Funk's details in my bio.
Nice. Cool, man.
Yes, sir.
Barry, thanks so much for your time, dude. It's been awesome chatting. And I hope, I can't wait to find out about those little double secret projects we can like later on when they're all announced. And we'll
let's have a chat back then. Let's have a chat back then, bro. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, dude.
Thanks, dude.
Cheers. Bye.